What is up, everybody? Welcome to another video. This is part 2 of the brutal Blackpil stories of church. So this is going to be a series. I have a bunch of them. I hope you guys like them. And this is I believe this will be the last one. Well, actually the second. No, actually I think I have one more of church. But if I can remember other events, I will make the videos because these are true events. It's just I haven't been to church since 2015. So basically, this is the story of a jestermaxer as well. An adult already when I met him. He was like in his late 30s. He was really unlikable to begin with. He was not a typical charismatic. He was unpleasant to be with. He was just a total douche. He was a hardcore, wannabe judgmental individual. He would judge you based off the covers of your personality. It's like how they say, never judge a book by its covers. Actually, the church that I used to go to, women and everybody judge you by the covers, believe it or not. Why? Because that's how it is. It's a society. Society's hypocrite. Society does really judge on your looks, on your appearance, more than before, your personality, your it doesn't matter what you do. You can be a professional, but if you're just fortunate with your genetics, it's a very brutal world. In church is no exception either. Church is very brutal because I used to participate in a certain activity. And since women couldn't really participate because it was just meant for a specific role model. It was just a male. Basically, I had to take them. So this church used to preach outside, so I had to make a group. But apparently, when it came to prayers, when it came to specific arrangements, it had to be a male. And sometimes I was available in the mornings. I basically work more afternoons more than mornings. I only work 2 mornings throughout the week. This was 2015. I was still young, and I remember I had to take out this specific group, make the prayer, and get them ready for for them to go out there and preach whatever. And so and I remember it was just a bunch of girls because basically a lot of them didn't work. Their husbands were at work while they were doing these activities. And being surrounded by them made me realize this is how I started to really have a little bit of resentment for women because they're very judgmental, hardcore, and these are like Christian, conservative women that technically they try to show you a specific character that they don't judge. They're not charismatic, they're humble, they are spiritual, looks and everything. But in reality, that was never the case. Women gossip a lot, and I was actually part of the gossip. I didn't participate, I just heard. It was just me in a specific car. And at the time, we had a vehicle. I think it was an SUV vehicle where I had to get them in the vehicle. And basically, it was just 3 or 4 women max. Man, these gossips were one of the worst. They talk crap about the other person. They talk very bad about the, ungrateful, disfortunate genetic dudes, Sub5s. Because we had a lot of Sub5 males. They were very, very nasty. This is where I started to realize that this is very pathetic. These are churches. No exception to society. They're all the same. There's no difference. And I remember, there was about this specific jestermaxer. Everybody hated his guts, even the man, because he was a total douche. Respect to his kids. His kids were something else, but their dad was a total douchebag. He was a total narcissistic, a guy that you don't want to be around with. He ended up burning bridges with all the females and all the men in the church. And he thought he was actually a very hot shot. He thought he could really convince a pretty girl to go out with him because apparently he viewed himself as an intelligent individual. But in reality, he was just a ignorant individual. He had some trade skills, knowledge, but he wasn't an expert like he thought he was. And that's just why he was never likable. So I remember he tried so hard to get with this specific church girl who happened to be in her mid-20s, and he was already in his late 30s, but he believed that he was more than capable of achieving scoring some ditches with her, because obviously his plan was to marry her and live this happy life. And the girl never liked him. She hated his guts. She even accused him with the pastors that he was a total creep. And he burned the bridge with her. And that's how he started to burn a lot of bridges. The females were total disgust. So a little description of this guy. He was ethnic, short, very, he was very ethnic, unfortunately. Not to be racist or anything like that, but it's the total truth. And he had nothing exotic. He was just a typical and wanton individual. And I remember one time he tried to split his skin with a specific girl from another church, because basically the church is very big. It's a brand church. It's one of the biggest religions in the world. It's a Christian sect, and he went to another church, and he was trying to spit some game with this. I don't know if she was younger or his age. I don't remember. And my friend, who happened to be at the time, she was a female friend, and she knew the girl, and she was telling me how she was ready to call 911 on him. Apparently that he didn't do nothing wrong. We gotta also be honest about it. Yeah, he had a douche personality. He might have been a little creep, but at the same time, he wasn't like stalking the girl. He wasn't like trying to do anything with her. He was just trying to get her number, get to know her. So he went to that specific church because apparently he spotted her at a specific event, and he found out where she went to. And he went to that specific church, and he was trying to pull out his dating game card. And so I think what happened was the lady went to her car as the church was about, church ended, and I think she just took off. And so he didn't want to miss his chance, and I think the story goes that he, out of nowhere, started knocking on her window, and she freaked out. And I think since she didn't knew him, and at the same time, in this particular church, he had to wear suits. I don't think he was wearing any suits, because I think he, out of nowhere, he went on a vacation. Actually, yeah, I remember now. Sorry, this was a long time ago. So this dumbass went on vacation, and he found out that the girl he had a crush on, because he spotted her in a specific religion event, he found out she went to that specific that specific church in the specific city that he was visiting, and he wanted to, not miss his chance. And so he went. He didn't dress nicely. He didn't dress properly. He didn't wear a suit. And I think he was just like man, I can't remember. I'm sorry, guys. This was like 2005, 2006. Like, I was still a kid when I knew this stuff. But anyway, so he was dressed okay, modest, but no suit whatsoever. So this is why the lady almost called 911 on him. She thought he was just like a bum out of somewhere. And the guy, even though he had his Bible, he had everything to demonstrate that he was, part of the organization or part of the religion. When he knocked on the door, my friend was telling me that she screamed, and she got her phone and was ready to dial 911, and he had to tell her, chill, I'm not going to hurt you. And and I remember my friend was telling me how they were friends, how the girl, took her like a minute to calm down and realize that it was a member of the church. And she literally told my friend, since he was very ugly, and plus he had very bad dentures, she thought he was a bum. And she's like, there's no way how I'm ever going to say yes to this guy. I don't care if he's super spiritual. I don't care about his behavior or character. This guy is disgusting. I'm never going to go out with him. The girl literally told me, get away from me, never speak to me. We're just going to say a professional hello if we ever encounter again. But this was very, rude, very inappropriate. And the guy left defeated. He was so defeated. He didn't talk to anybody for a couple months. I think he was offended, and I think he was embarrassed. So this guy did everything he can to really find a specific wife. He was unsuccessful. He was not, I don't know, this is one of these typical guys that This is something that I always hated about specific men. We're already going through difficult times because we don't have them. We were not unfortunate with very good genes. We just gotta have to have that humbleness. Unfortunately, there's no way around it. But this is a guy that he is arrogant. He thinks he's a hot shot, and he's all about self confidence. Because he even told me that he's a hot shit in his, in his home country, that he could get women, this and that. Like, he's just a guy that likes to brag, but I doubt it. Because even here, nobody wanted him. And he had one specific chance, and he was like lucky. This was like a lottery ticket for him. A girl did had an interest. Yeah, the lady wasn't the best looking individual. She was a little bit taller than him because, like I say, he was a man. Like, he was like 5'2", 5'3" at max. The girl was like 5'7", 5'8", overweight. Because, in this religion, a lot of women that stay single, their coping mechanism is food, so they do end up getting that weight. But, this is a girl that flew out of state to go to this specific church that I used to attend just to meet him. And this guy said, no, I have another option. Unfortunately, obviously that's not what he said. He was professional. He's like, I'm sorry, thank you for your interest, but my heart is for someone else, which it was the girl that he always tried to get. But this girl literally was afraid of him. So he blew his chance, and ever since then, I think he's still single. He's about to be in his 50s, or actually he's like in his I think he's getting close to 60s or 50s. I don't know. I haven't seen this dude in a long time. Like I said, he's very ethnic, so his age doesn't really show, but at the same time, this guy is not, at times I do feel bad for him, but at times I don't, because he's not a very polite person to be around. He's very unpleasant, and this is why I'm not scared to make a story about him. This is just a fun story, not to ridicule him, because actually I don't like ridiculing men. Like, I know what it feels to be rejected. I know what it feels to be alone. But there's individuals that make themselves very undesirable. Unfortunately, that was one of these cases where this guy believed that he thinks he's something, but in reality he's nothing. That's unfortunate. And this is a story of, the jestermaxer part 2. So stay tuned for another one that I really wanted to make. And I hope you guys like these videos. And stay tuned and peace out.